She came to America as a spy, but karma was already waiting. No one noticed her when she arrived. That was the point. On a cold October morning, as travelers poured through JFK Airport, businessmen rushing, families reuniting, tourists wide-eyed with excitement, she blended in perfectly. A slim woman in her early 30s, pale skin, dark blonde hair pulled neatly into a low bun, eyes calm but observant. Her name, according to the passport in her hand, was Elena Morozova, born in St. Petersburg. Occupation, cultural exchange researcher. Reason for travel, academic collaboration. The immigration officer barely looked up as he stamped her entry visa. If only he had known. Because Elena Morozova wasn't just arriving in America, she was infiltrating it. Long before Elena became a ghost in a foreign land, she was a child with frostbitten fingers and unanswered questions. She grew up in a gray concrete apartment block on the outskirts of St. Petersburg. Her father had once been a military engineer, brilliant, proud, loyal, until one day he wasn't. When Elena was 12, he disappeared. No goodbye, no explanation, no body. Her mother stopped asking questions after two men in black coats visited their apartment at midnight. After that, she aged rapidly, like fear had a physical weight. Bills piled up. Food became scarce. Elena learned early that in her country, silence was survival. At 16, she was approached, not by strangers, but by men who already knew everything about her. Her school schedule, her mother's medical records, her father's classified work. They didn't threaten her. They offered her purpose. "You are intelligent," one of them said calmly. "Your father was too. He served his country. Now it's your turn." That was how Elena learned the truth. Her father hadn't disappeared. He had failed, and failure in their world was unforgivable. Elena was trained in places that didn't officially exist. She learned languages until English replaced Russian in her dreams. She studied American culture obsessively, movies, music, politics, slang. She was taught how to disappear in plain sight, how to read micro-expressions, how to lie without changing her heartbeat. But the hardest lesson wasn't deception. It was detachment. Emotions are liabilities, her handler told her. Love is a weakness. Loyalty is currency. They broke her down, then rebuilt her, not as a woman, as a weapon. By 29, she had no real identity. Elena Morozova was just the latest mask. Before that, she'd been a student in Prague, a journalist in Berlin, a consultant in Istanbul. Now, she was headed for America. Her mission was simple on paper. In reality, it was devastating. Washington, D.C. welcomed her warmly. Elena quickly secured a position at a respected international policy think tank. Thanks to carefully forged credentials and years of preparation, she spoke eloquently about diplomacy, peace, and cultural understanding. People admired her, trusted her. Men underestimated her. Within months, she was attending private fundraisers, closed-door briefings, and informal gatherings with staffers connected to high-ranking government officials. She listened, she remembered, she transmitted. Encrypted messages sent from burner phones. Dead drops disguised as trash bags behind grocery stores. Information slowly bleeding from the heart of American policy circles. And for a while, it felt easy. Too easy. His name was Daniel Carter, a cybersecurity analyst. Divorced, quiet, kind in a way Elena wasn't prepared for. They met at a small bookstore cafe near DuPont Circle. She had intentionally dropped a book, an old trick. He picked it up, commented on the author, smiled awkwardly. Their conversations started light. Books, music, work frustrations. Then deeper. Loneliness, regret, hope. Elena told herself it was just another asset, another potential access point. She had done this before. But Daniel wasn't ambitious. He wasn't powerful. He was decent. And that was dangerous. Because for the first time in years, Elena felt something stir inside her that training hadn't erased. Guilt. Elena began slipping. Not enough to be obvious, but enough to matter. She delayed transmissions, asked unnecessary questions, pushed back when her handler demanded riskier access. "You're compromised," he warned during a rare face-to-face meeting in New York. "Remember what happens to people who forget who they are." She did remember. Too well. That night, she stood alone in her apartment, staring at her reflection. Who was she, really? A patriot? A traitor? A victim? Or just a coward hiding behind orders? She thought of her father. Had he once stood where she was standing now? What Elena didn't know was that the FBI had been watching her for months. Subtle patterns, unexplained access, anomalies in digital behavior. Nothing concrete. Yet, until one late night, Daniel mentioned something he shouldn't have. A classified vulnerability assessment. Elena froze internally. She didn't ask questions. She didn't need to. Her handler's voice echoed in her head. Opportunity. That single piece of information, if transmitted, would elevate her status permanently. It would also destroy Daniel's life. She sent the message. And in that moment, the trap snapped shut. The arrest didn't happen immediately. That was intentional. They wanted everything. Every contact. Every code. Every confession. Elena sensed it first. Devices behaving strangely. People asking questions twice. Silence from her handler. Then Daniel was arrested. Charged with negligence. National security risk. He didn't understand. He kept asking her why. She couldn't answer. 2 days later, agents came for her. No shouting. No drama. Just cold steel handcuffs and a quiet hallway. As they led her away, Elena looked back and realized something horrifying. She felt relief. The trial was sealed. But word leaked. A Russian sleeper agent embedded in D.C. News anchors speculated wildly. Politicians demanded answers. Elena sat behind bulletproof glass, expression unreadable. Inside, she was unraveling. Her handlers disavowed her. Her country erased her existence. The same system that created her now labeled her expendable. And Daniel? He testified, not with anger, but disappointment. That hurt more than hatred ever could. The judge spoke calmly when the verdict came down. "Justice is not just punishment," he said. "It is accountability." Elena was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. As she was led away, she caught her reflection in the glass. For the first time, she didn't see a spy. She saw a girl who had never been allowed to choose. But karma is never finished. Years later, in a quiet federal prison, Elena received a letter. No return address. One sentence inside. "Your father didn't fail. He tried to defect." Her hands trembled. Had her entire life been built on a lie? Had she destroyed everything for nothing? That night, the prison went into lockdown. An unexplained security breach. One inmate missing. Elena Morozova. Gone. So now the question is, was Elena rescued? Was she silenced? Or did she finally escape the system that created her? Backhand index pointing down. What do you think really happened to her? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you believe karma always collects its debt, subscribe and stay with us, because the next story might be even darker. If you want a darker ending, a part 2 setup, or a more true crime documentary tone, just tell me.